Here's another one you don't want to hear. Frankly, they do I.
1, 2, 3, set, go.
Right now on the Power Chord Hour, I'm absolutely honored and very excited for this one. We're talking to Ramones drummer Richie Ramone. And Richie was the Ramones drummer from 1983 to 1987, playing on Too Tough to Die, Animal Boy, and Halfway to Sanity. And to celebrate the 35th anniversary of Animal Boy, we're going to talk about the writing and recording of that classic record, as well as what Richie is currently up to. So we got a lot to get into. Richie, how are you?
I'm doing great. That was a nice intro.
Thank you.
Yeah, everything's good. You know, post-COVID, hopefully stuff's starting to come around again. But LA just going down on lockdown tomorrow again.
Again?
Yeah, we got to wear masks indoors again now.
Oh, I did not see that.
Yeah, the cases have ticked up here, and so who knows? You know, it's just about the unvaxxed is causing a problem. You know, and that's what's happening. But anyway,
no, that's unfortunate.
I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy things are still moving in the right direction. But we need to be touring again. And we need to get out there.
Which and I do want to get into later, because I was saying earlier about like getting into what you're up to. I do know that you were announcing shows and stuff, so it looks like you're ready to go. Like when things are ready, like you're ready to play.
Right, yeah, I've rested for 15 months. I'm ready.
Oh yeah, you got to, because you play like when you go out. I feel like you play quite a few shows a year still.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, you have to. You don't make any money recording records, but I think you need to record records to still stay relevant. You can't just go out there and playing stuff, forever and ever. You know what I'm saying? I think writing and releasing records is part of touring. And they should go hand in hand.
No, I agree with that. I mean, after a while, like we're talking about, like Animal Boy, like when we get into that, it's like great record, but I can see where 35 years later, you want to throw a couple other songs in the set. You don't want to be playing the same song over and over again, So new stuff is not a bad thing at all. But
from the creative side too.
Yeah, it's good to keep that going.
I still play the same songs I played for 50 years, but the creative side helps, so.
But getting into it, with Animal Boy, like I said, 35 years. It was released in May of 1986. Do you remember when you guys actually started writing songs for the album? Like, when did the idea start going that you were going to write this next record?
Well, you're really going to test me 35 years ago.
And it's okay if it's not like precise.
We never wrote as a band together ever, so I think we just, it was time to do another record, and I went to my corner, Joey went to his corner, John went to his corner, I guess. I don't know if he wrote anything or ever, I think I don't know, maybe did something with Dee Dee, and Dee Dee went to his corner. We'd record our stuff on cassettes, bring them to the manager's office. We all sit down, listen, and pick the songs. That's the way it went.
Now, for you, because I know you guys toured so much, did you write on the road much, or did you write when you were at home?
Home. I try to write on the road. I think on the road I gain the experience, or I stumble across something that would be a fun song to write. But I don't have the capacity to sit there and write. First of all, I'm in a different city every night, and when you see a bed, you just glue yourself to it because you're traveling so much and you're tired. So I don't, but the things I see are the kind of stuff I write about, so.
You get the influence on the road, and then you go home and write about all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, because you were, I can't imagine touring the amount you guys toured and to kind of write as well after playing all those shows. It doesn't seem like you got a whole lot of breaks.
No, you don't.
And then,
and it's a shame you don't get to see much of the cities. I've been all over the world. If you get a day off in like Rome, it's kind of fun, or something like that. But you basically don't get to see nothing. You get there at 4:00, you play, You know, you sleep, the next day 11, you go in another city. So
Yeah,
that's
you
just
don't you
how it
know
is.
I've realized that because I think sometimes people think that like with touring bands. I mean, obviously you see the road, but I feel like including if you're like in a big tour bus per se, you're seeing a lot of interstates and stuff. You know, you can't like drive that all around. You
Right.
have places to be, so it's like you're not always particularly seeing every site or whatnot. You're kind of
No.
going like you were saying to the venue and stuff. Like you're very kind of
Right.
regimented.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yes.
But with writing, I mean, like you said, you all kind of went and wrote your own stuff. Was there any like adding ideas like together, or were songs fleshed out
No.
separately? Like you brought the song and it
Fleshed
was
out.
done, all finished.
Yeah.
Oh wow! So when you brought in, and how many songs you wrote? You wrote one or two, right, for Animal Boy?
Animal Boy, I wrote two. I wrote a couple, but John would only allow me to have one because I was getting 100% of the royalty. So it would affect his pocketbook. I could have written the three best songs on the record, but I was only allowed one. So
Oh geez.
that's how that happened. And the third album, Halfway to Sanity, I was allowed to have two songs on it. So what happened on the first album, Too Tough to Die and Animal Boy, Martin, our Baker's Bakewood label in England, he would always take a second song of mine. So the English releases have two songs on them of mine. The US only had one. So whatever. Well, he'd put one of my songs as like, he used to do the EPs, but the large scale EPs, full size albums. So, he would put that out as album on that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember, I think one album of those, the A side was, somebody put something in my drink, and the other side was Smash You. I don't know. They were both written by me. Johnny hated that. He called that the Richie Ramone record.
Which is too bad, because I feel like, speaking of Animal Boy, I mean, not only does somebody put something in my drink, open it, but that's like that's like looked upon as like one of the best songs on the record, which, it's a bummer you couldn't have at least a few more on there.
It's probably in the top 20 to this day. I know it is. They played that song even after I left till their last show that stayed in the set. So that was an honor.
It was one of my first Ramones songs. I will tell you that. It was one of the first ones I ever heard. But
and I wish they did a video of it. Didi always used to talk about that. He really wanted to do a video of that song.
Now, did I see that you like partially started doing a video for it?
No.
No?
Mm-mm. No.
That would have been a good one. Were there? Oh yeah, so you had two videos on Animal Boy then, right? You guys did two videos, or no, just one?
I don't know. You have to tell me.
I think one. But going back to like writing, like you said, I mean, obviously, I was going to ask, like, with it being your second one, if you had more freedom, but it doesn't sound as much as that. But did you have less pressure recording on this one now that it was your second album with them? Did you go in and kind of, were you more laid back at all?
No, I never felt pressure from day one, from the audition to whatever. Pressure is not a good thing. If you're prepared and you can do your job, there's no pressure. I mean, when I first got in this band, Joey and I hit it off. We became best friends, like forever and ever and ever till his death. God bless him. And but no, I never felt pressure. No.
And where'd you guys record Animal Boy at?
I don't know if it was Media Sound. It was in the city somewhere.
In New York?
Again, you're asking me, yeah.
35
it's
years
probably
later.
in my book. If you look at my book, you'll probably find it. But it's Media Sound, I believe, in New York City.
And how long did it take to record?
I think we got the place for 5 or 6 days straight. What it would be was, I remember doing my drum tracks a day and a half. So I was in there for what? I recorded all of mine in 10, 12 hours. A day and a half, I was done.
Oh, wow.
And then, we all play together. And then once you have the drum, that's why with the Ramones, with me anyway, you wanted to make sure you knew you were doing that first take, because John didn't want you doing this, sitting there doing 6, 7 takes, eating up the clock, taking his money. So you had to really, be sharp and make sure you really did it right the first time, and that's what I did. They were all first takes on all my albums. Maybe 1 or 2 were second takes.
Oh wow!
Those are all just takes. Those are all no click tracks on there.
Oh wow!
On any of those things, that's just pure drumming, no fixing and moving bass drums and snare drums and nonsense like that. So, and I remember even Dave Stewart, he produced one of the songs. He wanted to, sha la la la, he wanted to use a click track. I said, because he wanted to sync. I said, nah, it'll be all right. I don't need it. And that was a half a beat off from beginning to the end. 1.05 beats per minute off, which he was like calling me. He called me the human drum machine.
That is awesome.
So yeah, so it's a different thing,
It definitely doesn't sound like you were a writing in the studio band then. Like you went in with your songs written. Like there wasn't tooling around in the studio then.
No. We came with our songs, we picked our songs, and then we rehearsed for at least a week before we went in the studio in the rehearsal place. So we rehearsed them before we went in. We already knew the 12, 14 songs we were going to record. So, you always want to make sure when you're a musician that, if you got a band, be prepared. Have your songs written inside out so that, you can just lay them down quickly.
So then it was that way for all 3 records you were on then, probably.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Just right away, which is interesting. I which it made sense, like you were saying, if y'all wrote them beforehand, but I was wondering if there was any studio, writing in the studio, but no, not at all. It sounds like you guys knew what you were doing going in.
Yeah, just at home. Nonsense. I wrote mine on a Casio keyboard, little tiny $100 keyboard, and everybody wrote their own thing. We tried one session, it doesn't work. To have a songwriting partner, someone that clicks with you and moves with you in the same direction instead of pulling other ways, they're hard to find. And Ronnie Ardito from the Shirts, which was a big band around the CBTV days, he was probably one of the most, that I ever got along with as far as songwriting. We wrote a song for Fred Snow for the B-52s called Orbit. We just clicked when we got in the studio, but it's hard to do with anybody. It's very difficult, so for me anyway,
Do you still to this day, do you like kind of writing by yourself, like when you're doing your own?
Yes. Mm-hmm. But I'll use some other artists' things. I have a new single coming out. It wasn't written by me. It was written by Mark Diamond from the Dwarves.
Oh, nice.
But I really like the song, and then I put my spin on it, and so that'll be the new single coming out, I don't want to give it away yet, but it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
We'll be ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
But on Animal Boy, I mean, did you just use one drum set for the whole recording?
Yes.
Same setup for the whole thing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I said, he locked it out, so I did it in a day and a half. I went in at 10 o'clock or noon. Probably went to 9 o'clock at night, and then the next day went for 2 or 3 more hours. I was done. I left. Out of there, gone.
Now, were you used to had you recorded prior to the Ramones? Had you ever Have you ever recorded in that kind of situation like that?
Yes.
Okay, so you were used to being under pressure.
Yeah, it's not pressure. It's just knowing what you're doing.
Oh yeah, that's right. Not
being
pressure.
A session drummer. A session drummer is different than a live drummer. You need to hit, all the drums at the same volume. You need to find the sweet spot on the stick to get the proper rim shot time after time. It's a fine line. There's plenty of cats who could play live, smashing around, but they can't cut it in the studio.
No, that's very true.
To get the tone on the toms, you got to hit it in the same spot. You got to, finesse the cymbals so you don't over smash them so they bleed too much. There's a lot to learn. So session drumming's different, but I've done it. I was playing drums since I was 7 years old, so kind of knew what's going on.
You think doing all that session drumming is why you like got so precise? Like you said, like you don't need a click track. Like, you think is that just from years of just because you're right? You play so much. I'm sure you play so many different styles too, because you're playing whatever comes your way. I take it.
Right. I mean, yeah, I studied. You know, I read music. I studied for years drumming. I was in marching bands and carried snare drums and carried timpanis and did all kinds of things. But you can only get so much out of a book, but you gotta have something special inside that you're born with to put you in the, to get you in there in the caliber of, drummer. There's drummers and there's people who play drums. It's a different thing.
I like that.
So to get to that spot, there's something special that that's there. But it's my mother always told me. She said, I never had to tell you to practice. Never had to tell you to practice. I mean, I had a teacher who taught me, everything you do in drumming, you do it slow, perfectly in meter. Then the next day, maybe you can go a hair faster. Then the next day, a hair faster. But everything has to be clean. You got to play it clean. And if you can't play it clean at that tempo, let's back it down till we get it clean. And it's amazing. If you learn it that way, you get fast and fast and fast and clean, and that helps with tempo, working with metronomes. So
that's cool. I guess I didn't realize like your history that far back. I mean, that makes sense. Like, again,
well,
why
you didn't read my book.
I have not yet. I know it, and I really need to. It came out 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think so. Year and a half.
I'm asking those year questions again. But one of the, like we were talking about a minute ago, one of the most fan favorite songs, one of the best Ramones songs, I would say, Somebody Put Something in My Drink, which you wrote. It kicks off Animal Boy. I mean, do you remember writing that song at all? Do you remember how long it took?
That's a good question. I don't know how long it took. The lyrics always take longer, but I don't know. But I remember writing it on a Casio keyboard, a little tiny $50 Casio keyboard in an apartment plugged in somewhere, and just playing that,
Yeah.
I mean, and so I don't know how long it took. The whole story behind that, though, was I told Dee Dee the story, and Dee Dee was the one who said, you should write that song. And that's why I wrote it. So, I could thank Dee Dee for it,
That's
but I don't know
awesome.
how long it takes to write it, Back then, now I have like a nice studio in my yard where I write, but it takes longer because there's more equipment and more involved equipment, but there was just a little Casio and a mic, and you did it on those little 4-track cassette, those Fostec things that you were able to get 4 tracks out of a cassette player. And that's how I did it, So
Do you still have any of those?
Yeah.
You still have the demos of those?
I have demos. I have tons from when Dee Dee and I worked together doing all this rap stuff.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I have tons of things. I have tons of reel-to-reels, but really can't do nothing with it because it's all tied up and legal. So
that's cool. You keep it though. I was wondering that, like, if some people keep that.
You can't
stuff.
throw away your work. You can't throw away your work.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, but then what do you do with it? It just sits in an effing box, So, but it's hard to throw away.
Yeah, please don't
like
throw that away.
My mother kept stuff in New Jersey. She passed like 6-8 weeks ago. She kept all this stuff, and I can't throw it away. I had to like ship it all back to me, and now it'll sit in a box to me, like my stocking when I was like 2 years old. My Christmas stocking. How do you throw that away? You can't throw it away. I'm never gonna do anything with it, but stuff like that,
Yeah, those are those weird things because you're right. They don't have a purpose, but there's so much like sentimental value. It's like I can't just throw that in the garbage.
Right.
There's history to it,
Yes.
I get that. I get that.
Right.
But do you remember the first song that got recorded for Animal Boy? Do you remember the first one you guys ended up like completing in the studio?
No. I mean, there's never any completing. The way it happens, me, Dee, and John go in the studio. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. We play. It'd be like, drums sound good, Richie? Oh yeah, drums are great. Okay, done. Now Dee Dee would play again to the track, and then John would overdub as best as they could do, and then other people would help lay some tracks on top of their tracks. So, but that's how it went. It's that fast. I don't know which one went first.
Well, like you were just saying too, with other people coming in like guitar, like I know Walter Lure played on a few of those albums. I know he played on this one.
Yeah, he played lead. Mm-hmm.
Were you?
And then Daniel Ray would play some guitar stuff on later stuff.
Did you
Jean Bouvard would play from the Plasmatics.
How was he as a producer? I know he produced that record. How was he as a producer?
He was fine, but the sound at that time was a little too electronic-y on the drums for me, but John was a great guy,
For like going back for a second to Walter Lure, I mean, like, were you around? Did you get to know him much at all? Were you around when he recorded that, or were you kind of like, were you out of there by the time?
I was around, but I didn't get to know him much. No, not at all.
And then, were there any songs? Which, I mean, it sounds like there may be. Were there any songs like that you recorded for the Animal Boy sessions that have just never seen the light of day? Like, it sounds like you may have demos of songs that, like you said, you just weren't allowed to have, more songs on the record. Are there some that we've just never heard?
Well, I know, but they were never recorded, so either they fell by the wayside or...
Oh, so they never got that far to, like, record it. Okay, okay. So then I also wanted to ask, I mean, getting more to a recent day, I know besides music, I think it's really cool. I see you've been working on films and doing some acting. I know you have some films coming out later this fall. How did you get into acting? I think that's awesome.
I was doing a pop con somewhere in Chicago, and a director came up to me and said he wanted me to be in his film, and I said okay, and that was Head Cheese the movie. That's on Amazon now. And it started with that, and then I met, he wanted me to play a vampire in another role, which I just finished during COVID in January. But, and that's where I met Tam Glenn from Halloween 5.
Oh, nice.
And she's just been so fantastic with me. We're best friends, and we hook up on a lot of movies now. So I did that movie. I shot a movie in Boca Raton with Tam called Youthquake. Just came, last week I was in Seattle shooting Friday the 13th, Vengeance 2, Bloodlines.
Oh, nice.
So I'm in cool scenes with Jason, I mean, this is pretty intense. So the movie thing has been doing pretty good, and who knows, people say I'm really good at it. So I'm enjoying it now, and it's giving me like a second, second chance at life. It's just like, it's so rewarding. I read more, and you have to study and learn stuff. It's new to me. I've been in the music business for 100 years, which I love more than anything, but this is something new. And plus I get to write some material for the movies, so I'm having a blast doing it. That's all I could say. So
that's awesome.
So I've shot like 4 or 5 movies already. They're coming out all next year. I don't think they're going to make it. They won't be ready this year.
Do you see yourself? You just mentioned you like write a little bit on these films. Could you ever see yourself writing like a whole film yourself? You think you would ever do
the whole thing, like all that background stuff? I don't know if that would maybe seems like a lot of work, and I may get bored at it. I'm not sure. I enjoy like writing, a whole song that gets in there, or the title track or stuff like that. But to sit there and go, ooh, you just put some spooky chords in, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, I can see that getting boring.
If they were going to pay me a lot of money, I may think about it, but, and they got so many great guys who do that, who made their whole career doing that, because there was big money in Hollywood doing this. But these are a lot of B-movie roles, fan film roles, I'm not working for Warner Brothers on these films, but, they're shot really good on Blackmagic cameras, it looks beautiful. So it's rewarding. Film is really interesting. I really like it.
That's awesome. So, I mean, up until now, I mean, had you ever thought about acting before in your life?
No, never.
Never a thing? That's cool then that you're enjoying it.
I love it.
I'm
not enjoying it. I'm fanatic about it right now. That it's hard for me to watch movies now because I'm always watching the actors and seeing what they're doing. You know?
Oh, yeah, I could
that's
see.
That's how bad it's become. Like a film editor will always be watching the edits and see how clean or the color or whatever. You know, I'm focusing on the actors and, you know, exactly how they deliver lines and how they portray people and the facial expressions.
Well, that kind of brings up the question then, music-wise. Has that ever happened to you with music where, like, you know, when maybe you're recording or whatever? I mean, really, like you said, you're a session drummer. Doing that after a while, like, does that get to you where it's like you can't enjoy music because you're just breaking it down and overanalyzing it and stuff? Have you ever gone that far with music?
Never.
No?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing.
Not even when I'm writing music. I don't try not to listen. I don't want to be influenced in the music department, you know. I just write what's in my gut. There's no name for it. It's not punk rock. It's all just rock and roll to me. Whatever it is, you know, but no.
As far as
that doesn't happen.
As far as
I'm looking about the craft. It's a new craft, you know. It is a craft. I thought acting was nothing, but it is a craft. And, and when you find a character, you want to study about that character, and you get to be that person and live and eat like him. This is how these guys do it, you know. So that once you're in character, you're that guy. Whether you're a dad, whether you're a killer, whether you're a vampire, you're that person. And it's so cool to become someone else, and you stay like that all day, you know.
That does sound really neat. Is there anything that you think that you have applied from music that you could bring over, like that you've used for like acting? Like, has there anybody used anything you learned from music that you could bring over there?
Oh, not really. Listen, you got to have the it factor. I have the it factor. You know, I can do stuff, and people will pay attention to me. It's just in me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what's there. You know. So I don't think, you know, musically you bring anything over. It's totally different than music.
It's a whole different monster.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, that's cool. Actually, that's pretty cool then. So you really did jump into like a whole new territory then. Like, you know, there's
a whole new territory.
That is
in
really
fact,
cool.
I have a meeting in an hour. I got to go to Hollywood. I have another meeting with some big cat I don't want to talk about now, but we're going to meet about something coming up. So
we'll find out soon.
It's constantly happening. It's just been like really so much fun, and the people you meet are fun, and the people you meet, you know, you thought us rock and rollers know how to party. We ain't nothing compared to the actors. They can party. Oh my! You know.
Oh man.
Yeah. No. That's another fun thing. Maybe that's why I never wanted to go there. I figured they were all stiff. No,
you were wrong.
Wrong.
That's what you've learned.
Try another answer.
So, you know, that is awesome. It sounds like there's tons of stuff.
So I fit right in, you know.
You were ready.
Yeah.
You were happy about the revelation. When you realized, you went, oh, okay, that's all good. That's okay.
You know, I never had to yell once in all of these movies I made line, which I'm proud of. You know, if you forget a line, you just yell line, and they yell out your line before the scene. So, but it is a lot of waiting. You do wait around a lot, but that's when you get to talk to the people and have fun and eat or do whatever or go online or.
Now, do you ever write? You ever write music in that free time, or is it kind of like touring where it's like no?
No, there's no. Like I told you, you need to become somebody else.
Oh, that's true.
You can never fall too far away from characters because you want to be that person. You want to stay there. You want to talk like this guy talks, you know? You want to be tough like this guy's tough. If you keep wish-washing back and forth, it's just so hard to turn it on and off, you know?
That's a great. I never thought of that. That's a great.
When you perform on stage, you're all pumped up. You go. You want to. You're the God up there. You're gonna give it to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what you do for an hour. You don't like go back and forth and go, oh, these 2 songs, I'm just gonna like sit on a chair over here in the corner and sing them. And these, no, you just go. So you try to stay lit up like that. And a lot of times you're rehearsing lines with people. If you have parts that have 6, 7 people involved, you have to rehearse lines because that camera will run for a minute, you want to get it all smooth between people. So that happens sometimes, so
you keep busy then in between shots.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But there's a lot of waiting. That's why these stars have these trailers, they may go in there for hours.
I imagine that's where why the partying they do so much.
Not so much there. It's after.
Okay, after.
When they stop for the day, yeah. When it's over for the day, boom. Ooh. No, we don't really party, Then that'd just be a sloppy mess, You got to be serious about your work. Same thing if you're a musician. Don't be all sloppy on stage. Nobody wants to see that. Your audience could be sloppy. But when it's over, then it's time to go, Then it's your time.
Oh man. No, that is awesome. And it does. I mean, it sounds like on the film front, I mean, you have really jumped into it. Like there's tons to expect for you coming soon from that. As far as music, anything to expect coming up from you musically? I do know you just announced a tour, which is hitting a few dates around us here if you're listening in the Jamestown area. But I know the tour.
It's all on RichieRamone.com. But yeah, we start October 26th in New Haven, Connecticut. And we finish somewhere, I forget where the 11th is, but we're all around, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New York, Pennsylvania. I call my little East Coast run, and then I'll do the Midwest run, but I break it up into these little runs, for like 3 weeks, and it works out better. We'll be in Washington, D.C. for Halloween. I love that club, so that's going to be fun. And I like this week before Halloween. I think people, it's a fun time of the year. And let's hope COVID behaves and we don't have to go to masks again, because then I'll just cancel because I'm not going to play to, half filled, 50% capacity nonsense.
Oh, yeah. No, that would be a bummer.
Let's just, hope that all stays together. A big European tour starting in March of next year. In New Jersey, I'll be at the HorrorCon in Atlantic City, September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, signing autographs and everything. And no, that's November, sorry. November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I'll be in Illinois at the Midwest Horror Fest in September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. But anyway.
So you stay busy.
So that's what I'm doing.
You're doing staying real busy.
I'm doing some cons now, and I'm going to try tour and see how it goes, and seeing if people are coming out or whatever. I've been sitting around for so long, it was a real bummer, I really sunk in a deep hole for a long time, months. And what happened was the only way I pulled myself out is I did a 7-day water fast like the monks do. I just drank water for 7 days, and it like recharged my brain. It just, I don't know. It just did something to my body, and so I've been writing on that now for a while. I think it's the thing of, the having the willpower to do that changes your brain waves, Try not eating for 7 days, just drinking water. It's pretty tough.
That takes a lot of willpower.
Yeah, so I think that, and the monks would do it like for 2-3 weeks sometimes. It's crazy. And I'm sure other people do it too, but, it was interesting.
You ever done anything like that before?
No, not really, no. But, I read about all this ketosis and all that kind of stuff, and your body goes into this thing, and it starts, making energy from the sugar, not from the fat. And it's just, it's something that occurs in your body. Like, you don't use this part of your body until you fast like that. Then another thing kicks in, So you'd have to read about ketosis or whatever.
Wow, that's
I don't
crazy.
think we have a long enough time now.
To get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that, and that was fine. And it kind of snapped me out of it, and now, now I'm happy. Now I've got my single recorded, and one's for the Protege Moore movie, the vampire movie. That's the soundtrack to that movie. I don't want to say the name of the song yet, but you'll see it probably in September because I'll be shooting a video for it in August.
Oh, nice.
It's a cover song, but it's pretty cool.
Now, would you ever try directing maybe a music video?
Directing a music video?
Yeah, kind of as we were talking about, like even writing, because maybe a feature film's too much work.
No,
how about doing like a music video?
No.
No? Fair enough.
I'm not a director. I'm a songwriter.
Fair enough.
Directing isn't really my thing. There are guys who have an eye, who know how to look through that lens and know what they're doing. I'm not that guy. I could write music, but I'm not going to shoot it, no, or be the director.
Well, that's awesome. You really do. You're like keeping busy on all fronts. Film, we have music, we have a tour coming up. You're doing a lot. Like you're going in, like you're going right back to it. It sounds like.
Yes, I am.
That is awesome. Well, we have just a few more questions for you before I let you go. Jumping back to Animal Boy for a second, what is your favorite song on the record?
Somebody put something in my drink.
But as far as, Animal Boy as a whole, on the 3 records that you played on, where does that fall as like your favorite?
Animal Boy as a whole, the 3 records that I played on.
Yeah, if you had to rank it, like where would it fall on?
Well, Too Tough to Die would be the first album. Too Tough to Die is an historic album. It brought the Ramones back to the raw sound, and that's never going to change. So as far as a record, they had a couple sleepy records before that. This was the album that got them going again. It was my first album. So as far as an album, yeah, I love that album. I had the top 3.
Yeah, I can't blame you, and you're right. It did.
But Drink's the lead-off song. Drink's the lead-off song. That's the best song. But don't ask me my favorite song of all Ramones, because that's impossible to do. Don't ask me my favorite Ramones album of all time, because that's impossible to do. You broke it down to those 3. I think historically, Too Tough to Die is an important album historically. Okay, so, and that introduced the world to me. So whatever,
Nice.
But you have songs like Eat That Rat and stuff like that with Dee Dee that are so much fun. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Drink.
Nice. I won't get too specific, but as far as when you were playing with the band, like what was your favorite song to play live, like from your era, like songs from those albums? What was your favorite one to play live? Maybe the one that got like the most response.
I don't know the one that got the most response. I like playing Highest Trails Above. It had a cool drum part in it. But like again, you're going, favorite songs live. They're all favorites. I played with the effing Ramones, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna go, this is better than that. No way.
You have a really good point there.
I was there. There's I can't get into specifics and favorites like that, unless it's broken down to an ABC. Then if I had to choose that way, but. No, it was all terrific, all amazing, just sold out shows everywhere. Just what a time, and I'm so thankful that, I was, able to join the brothers for that time. 4 years and 10 months I was in the band. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. You played on some great records. You wrote some great songs for the band. Like I said, it's too bad we couldn't have heard more. But I'm also happy that you're doing your thing now. We get to hear you now and hear your stuff.
Right.
So as we're closing out here, I mean, yeah, if you want to tell people where can they find you online, where can they find, like you said, you have the book, you have the films, we got music coming up, like, you know, where can people find you online?
You know, the book, you know, that's sure, that's on Amazon. It's called I Know Better Now. It's on Amazon. It's a hardback. I think it's only like $16, $17, something ridiculous. But I like the book because a lot of people don't know about me, and that talks a lot about my childhood growing up, you know, and how I got into the band. It's a fun story, you know. Head Cheese, the movie, it's called. That's on Amazon Prime or Amazon. Maybe be able to find it on YouTube. And then, you know, next year, Protégé Moi will be coming out, Youthquake, and this new one, Vengeance 2, Bloodlines, should be coming out. So a lot of these, if you look around, have some, you know, GoFundMe things they're always looking for, you know. And for a little bit of money, you can get some cool stuff out of these movies. So go around, check some of that stuff out. And you can find me on Facebook at Richie Ramone Official or the Richie Ramone or hashtag whatever, Instagram, I don't know. If you want to find me, you can find me.
They'll find
as long as you know it's really me. Make sure you know what I look like. There's a lot of imposters out there.
Find the real Richie Ramone, and and stay connected with you because, again, you have a lot of stuff coming up. I mean,
and my website, richieramone.com, that'll show you everything.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's probably the best place to go then. You kind of find everything.
Yeah. And then on there, you can go to the Instagram page and, you know, hit me up Instagram. I'll hit you back, you know, and I do all my stuff myself. So, you know, when I've had too much to drink, I go on Instagram and Facebook.
When you're hanging out with the people in Hollywood, when you're all done.
No, you know what I like? I love going on in the morning, like when I first wake up. I look around before I make coffee, you know. It's a fun way to wake up, see what's going on. And then the news, and then I make the coffee, and then I start my day.
Nice.
Pretty simple life, us rock and rollers lead.
Nothing wrong with that. But that's awesome. I mean, you know, I'm very happy that, you know, I obviously wanted to talk about Animal Boy for its anniversary, but I'm happy that there's lots to talk about with what you're doing now. You know, it's good to see you being so active and doing things. So,
you believe it? Still going.
Still
Crazy.
Going strong.
You know,
still going strong.
Just want to stay healthy, and I just think I still have a few things to give the world. That's all. And when I run out of things, I'll definitely stop.
I will say I have to read your book, but I will ask, is it something you could ever see yourself doing again? Because I've heard both from people. Some people say they'd never do it again. Other people really enjoy it.
I do it again because I want to do more about after the Ramones. It gets into maybe a paragraph or two after the Ramones, but
you have a lot to talk
stories. I have a lot to talk about. You know, that book probably goes to like, you know, whatever, 1990. So there's a lot more to talk about. But yeah, I would do it again. It is a lot of work. I had to rely on a lot of people for, you know, you want to get the dates right. You want to get the years right, you know, and that was really the hardest part, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Again, you know, after 35 years, I can't blame you if you don't remember exact like times. But yeah, so this is awesome. We definitely have to have you back on sometime. Maybe next when you write that book. But we're gonna play some Ramones. We'll play some stuff off Animal Boys. So right now, here is Somebody Put Something in My Drink to kick it off. Right here on the Power Chord Hour. Right here on the Power Chord Hour podcast, like one of the few times that the Ramones ever really got political, that was Bonzo Goes to Bitburg. Before that was Love Kills with Dee Dee Ramone on lead vocals there, which I always love songs that Dee Dee sang on. I thought his vocals were great, including with Richie. That's the other thing is like that era with Richie's drumming and like the songs Dee Dee would sing with his vocals, like it would give them this hardcore edge that, like, you know, you normally didn't hear in a Ramones song. And I always loved it, and that's one of those ones. And opening up that block of music, written by Richie Ramone, and a very, very good song, one of the very best on the record, his favorite on the record, and I definitely agree there. That was Somebody Put Something in My Drink right here on the Power Chord Hour podcast. And I want to thank Richie Ramone so much for calling in. I mean, I don't think I have to tell you, absolutely amazing. That was very cool, an absolute honor to talk to him. Very, very funny. Before we got on the mics, afterwards, during, he was an absolute blast to talk to. Very funny and very open. I thought he was very honest. Like, you know, I know that things didn't end super great in the end, and I know that he had issues in the band, and you've heard things like that before, like with Johnny, where it's like, oh, okay, I could definitely see where that sound, like, from what you've heard through the years, like, oh yeah, like that sounds like Johnny to be like, oh, you can only have like one song an album because of you know, writing credits and things like that, which is it stinks, because I think Richie was he doesn't get credit. He's a lot like CJ, who was another honor to talk to a few years back, like another person who, you gotta remember, the Ramones were together over 20 years altogether. I mean, I can't remember the exact year they started, but I mean, they ended in 96. So, I mean, 75, 76 to 96, you know, it's like 20 years. And when you had people like Richie and CJ who joined the band, that was like a breath of fresh air and pumping life into the band. And Richie's totally right. Like, you know, they had a few records before he joined, before Too Tough to Die, where, you know, there were a few good songs here and there, but they were not like classic Ramones albums. And I think on Too Tough to Die, I mean, he kind of said it in here, like, I mean, that was a return to form and really an important record for the band. So, you know, very cool. Like, I think he really did help breathe like fresh air and life into that band, as well as CJ, you know, a few years later. So very cool to talk to him. That was absolutely awesome. And Animal Boy is a very good record too. I feel like, again, like, I hate to keep saying the same thing, but like a lot of those later era Ramones records definitely don't get the credit they deserve. Like, you know, they're one of those bands who I think just had such a strong, like, in the beginning, they had such a strong run for like the first like 4 or 5 records. And then, you know, like end of the century, you get to where it starts being, I like a few songs on there, but that's about where they start to, like, you know, their track record starts getting a little shaky. But some of those later records, like, really showed them, like, returning to form, and like just, and even ones that weren't returned to form, like, they did different things, but were just amazing punk rock records, you know. And it was really cool to see a band who had been around that long, you know, still continue to do such cool stuff. So Richie was such an important part of the band for the time he was in it, you know, which, I mean, was a big chunk of the 80s. And, you know, 3 records too, nothing to scoff at. You know, he was definitely a part of the band there for a while. And there's some great live performances out there. I think one of my favorite Ramones, like, live songs, I think it's on a TV show. It might be like Old Grey Whistle Test. But with Richie on it, for when Too Tough to Die came out, they're doing Warthog, which, you know, like I said a minute ago, how much I love songs that Dee Dee sing on. You know, that's a song that Dee Dee sings on. But Richie is singing the Warthog part in the choruses and in the beginning, and he's like screaming his fucking head off. Like, it is so rad. Like, it is such a good performance. Like, Richie's giving it all on the drums while screaming his heart out. You got Dee Dee just going nuts. It's kind of funny too, because it's a great performance, but Joey doesn't sing on that song, so he's just kind of on the stage, like, moving around. You know, it's like you kind of feel bad for him, because, like, you don't really know what to do here. You know what I mean? He's not playing anything. But yeah, really, that's a great performance. If you just go on YouTube, look up Ramones Warthog Live, you'll probably find it pretty fast. But really, really good. One of my favorite, like, Ramones performances from any era. And yeah, just really good. Was awesome to talk to him. Got to have him back. And I got to read that book. It's so funny that he mentioned it, because I've been meaning, and I don't want to be like, oh, I've been meaning to read your book, because it's like, I'm sure 100 people have said that. But it's like, I truly have been meaning to read his book for quite a while. So, you know, again, I'll plug that. You should go check out I Know Better Now, which I think would be really, really interesting. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, I learned things on here just from talking to him that I didn't know, and it sounds like there's a lot more to learn there in that book. So I know that came out a few years ago, and I've definitely meant to go check it out. You should go check it out, and go check out all his other stuff. It's rad to see how busy he stays. You know, he's doing tons of film. I know he does the conventions with something like CJ Ramone. They go do those and do like the autograph the autograph sessions and different stuff at conventions. And I mean, as well as music. I mean, the biggest one is the music. Richie tours still quite a bit. That vigorous touring schedule of the Ramones hasn't left him, and looks like he's ready to tour again. So tons of places. If you're listening in the Jamestown area, he's playing around here a few places. If you're listening elsewhere, he's playing all around in the country, and also I believe he said, was it Europe? I can't remember now. I know he said he was they're also touring somewhere out of the country later on in the year. So very cool, and I'm sure 2022 will be a very packed year for him. I'm sure he has a lot ready to go, and I know he teased new music and all that. So like he said, stay connected with him online so you know when all that stuff comes out. But yeah, just absolutely awesome. I throw that one up there with legends, like people I've interviewed who I'm like, oh, that's a living legend, and Richie's one of them. Last living, and the other thing too is on Animal Boy, he's the last living member, and really the last living member of his time in the Ramones. Everyone else, Johnny, Dee Dee, and Joey, have all passed away. So I mean, as far as any of those records that he played on, he's the last living one. So I mean, that's the other thing. Truly an honor to get to talk to him, and hear that stuff firsthand from someone who was there, which, sadly there's less and less of those, so it was a definite honor. And yeah, so I've talked to him. And again, I mean, if you've ever missed it, CJ Ramone, I interviewed him back in 2017 when he put out his excellent solo record, American Beauty. Another Ramone who, post Ramones is still like putting out some really rad music and still putting on great live shows. Another one you should go support. Both of them they're working class musicians. Like, they're Ramones, but they're working class. Like, they go play, just like the Ramones were. Like, they play shows like, half of the year they're playing, they're out playing, they're still recording music, they're still doing stuff, like they're still out there doing it. And yeah, definitely want to support them, because again, they're living legends, and there ain't many. All the original Ramones are gone, and but these guys are still legit Ramones. And yeah, at this point we got left CJ, Richie, Marky, and I do count Elvis Ramone. I do, as I was talking to John Easdale from Dramarama a few months ago, because Clem Burke was the drummer in Dramarama for a little bit in the 90s, and I told him, I'm like, technically you did have Ramone in your band, like, and yeah, so I even though it was like 2 shows, maybe 3, I do count Clem Burke, Elvis, better known as Elvis Ramone, I count him as a Ramone. And yeah, so that was really fun. Got to thank Richie again, and want to thank you for tuning in. That was a lot of fun. And tune back in next week. We'll have your July rundown. Crazy to think that we're at the end of another month. And tons of good guests coming up, I will say, because I've had to pre-record a few. I am heading to Denver, so I had a few guests early on before I left. And I will tell you, there's some really good stuff coming up. So make sure you stay tuned here to this podcast. I'm sure I'll talk more about it on next week's episode. But stay connected with the show at Power Chord Hour on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. We are on Spotify, and both for the podcast, as well as I put up playlists there all the time from the radio show and for the podcast. Not too long ago, we did the top 5, or actually like 2 weeks ago, the top 5 Fat Record releases with Joey Cobra. Me and him picked a few songs off all our albums that we talked about. And there's a big old playlist on our Spotify page. So just go search Power Chord Hour on Spotify. Maybe you're listening there right now. But yeah, so we're there. We're on social media. Follow us there if you would. Email me, powerchordhour@gmail.com. Tons of free stickers, so hit me up. I will send you some. And you can hit me up whenever. I will have them with me. So even if you email me and I'm still on my trip to Denver, I will have some with. I'll have them on hand just in case. So I'll mail you some out. But yeah, so stay connected with us. Make sure you tune in next week. And if you need more Power Chord Hour, every Friday night, 10 Eastern to midnight on 107.9 WRFA in Jamestown, New York. That is the WRFA, or not the WRFA, the Power Chord Hour radio show. This will be airing, if you're listening the week this comes out, this will be airing again on the radio show this Friday night. But then we'll play a whole nother hour. The second hour, I'm going to play tons of Ramones from the Richie era, from the Not Richie era. I'm going to play some of his solo stuff. So a lot more than what you heard tonight, and or really whenever you're listening to this. But yeah, so that's something to check out. You can also stream it on the website, WRFALP.com. And yeah, if you want to check that out, tons and tons of music. Always have fun doing the radio show. That is the OG. I mean, that was what we were doing. We're celebrating 5 years of the radio show now. And so yeah. But enjoy, and if you haven't heard that one with CJ Ramone, it is on the podcast feed as a throwback episode from last year. It's also on our YouTube page because I did do that bad boy back 4 years ago, and really fun. I can't believe I've gotten to interview 2 Ramones now. Very, very cool. Dream come true. So thank you again to Richie, and for the Power Chord Hour, I'm Anthony Merchant. Thanks for listening.